Hello there. It is super exciting to be back with a second season, and we have rebranded the show from the Mary Dee Show to the Mad Love Your Life Show. I hope that you guys will enjoy this next season as much, if not more, as we did the first season. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing. It means the world to me, and it's been amazing. Last year, we were able to hit top 150 of Apple Podcasts, and that was really, really exciting. And so this season, we're actually going live on Bold Brave TV every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. So welcome to season 2, and we have so much in store for you. If you didn't catch the full show on Bold Brave TV, well, you missed a good episode. It was a whole hour. Fortunately, you can go back and listen to it anytime. With that, I do want to rapid fire on our extended version here. You know, we left the original show talking about mental and physical wellness while we are in this entrepreneurial journey and as we're running businesses and running our lives. And one of the things we talked a little bit about that we have in common is doing saunas and cold plunges and ice baths. Tell me, how did you learn about those things and how long have you been integrating them?
Yeah, it's actually very recent. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm no expert here. Just recently, I started doing more research because I started taking it more seriously. And I would say 3 weeks for both the ice plunges and the sauna. And for sure, they make an impact on your life, but they suck. This is another example of just get started because nobody wants to do them. But when you finish doing them, you feel amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can definitely vouch for that. I do each of those about 3 times a week. And the sauna, I can say I actually have no problem with. The ice bath, every single time, I for sure work myself up to like, okay, let's go. And then I don't overthink it. It's just get in. And I don't know if you do this or not, Amin, but I actually get in all the way, meaning head has to go under and then I
Oh,
come up. Yes, because it activates like all the like thyroid stuff happening, and it creates a sensation. And I don't remember the name of it, but it happens to people who scuba dive,
uh-huh.
and it basically it wakes your body up kind of extra to say, wow, like our whole body is submerged and we've got to protect all the things. And so it's like an, I don't know, extra line of defense. So if you haven't done the whole like head all the way in, like your full body in, it's a 10-10 recommend. It'll change your life, and it's a whole nother level of mental challenge that you get to come up with and go whoo and work through that recovery and breath.
Oh, I haven't been doing that, but I feel like I should. So I'll try it out.
I
I'm
love it.
still a noob in this. Like I'm working my way to being an expert like you.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. I don't know if I'm an expert. It's been a couple of years, but for sure, I'd say most of my entrepreneurial friends and my circles and my clients, we're big fans. We're big fans
Uh-huh.
because we know of the challenge. I was sharing a story about how I went to the beach one morning, and it was really chilly, and I was trying to catch the sunrise, but it was a really cloudy day. So then it was like overcast, and I didn't even know if I had towels in my trunk. And I walked down to the water anyway. I said, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going to take off most of my clothes and I'm going to go get in that water. There's hardly anyone here. It's me and the homeless guy, and it's super early in the morning, and I'm working myself up because when I think of California water, I think of cold water. I lived in LA for years, and that water was cold. It was
It
always
is
cold.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah, so cold. It's not like Florida where it's warm, all the bath water all the time. It's cold. That
Yeah.
water is cold. And I worked myself up and I ran in that water as fast as I could. And as soon as I went in, I was like, oh, like it wasn't cold at all. It was one of the weird moments where I was like, oh, this water is actually not that cold. I'm like playing in the water and I'm just having a good laugh with myself because it was totally mental. It was
Yeah.
totally mental. The story I was telling myself was how cold this water was going to be, and that even though I wasn't prepared, I was going to do it anyway. And then I got in and I laughed and I just said, I totally got the mental exercise that a cold plunge does for you. And I managed to psych myself out and do it even without the water actually being cold.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's for sure all a mental game. Because when you distract yourself from thinking usually about something challenging, you're like, oh, how did I just do that?
Yep.
But you
Yep.
usually somehow convince yourself not to do something.
Right, right. And that applies across the board.
Yeah.
What are some other health hacks? Like, would you have like a what's your like number one health tip? What's been something that's really just assisted you in, I don't know, sleeping better or feeling better, or having more energy? Like, what's the thing?
So, well, number one thing, I would just say I drink a lot of water now. Like, I have this huge bottle that I fill up like, 4, 5, 6 times a day. And you when you're dehydrated, I swear, like you may not even recognize you're dehydrated, but it makes you so you're not thinking as sharp. There's maybe brain fog, but when you
Mm,
if you drink like a lot of, like, if you basically hydrate yourself again and wait an hour, you're gonna feel the difference. And then also having a good sleep schedule. I feel like going through the rough times of building, a company, you end up working so late and then waking up at random times, but
mm,
forcing yourself to wake up early, go to sleep at a right time consistently is also really good. Those
mm-hmm.
two things are like something that anybody can do.
Yep.
Doesn't really require purchasing anything. No, no having an ice plunge in your house, etc.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think America and our sleep schedule, and I don't know that it's even just America. I think it's across the board. People really
Hmm.
struggle with sleep, whether it's getting on a schedule or not. I recently took our we take an annual trip, a ski trip. And on the ski trip, we get up really early because we want to get parking in the morning. We want to be the first ones out on the slopes. And that always really resets me because we're in such a like go 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 mode.
Hmm.
Whereas
Hmm.
here at in at home, when I'm working from home, like I make my schedule. So if I
Hmm.
don't, the first call that's open on my calendar is like 10 a.m. So I have this big block and chunk of morning for myself. And if I happen to sleep more in that area, like, nobody knows that because it's
Yeah.
my day to
Yeah.
decide. But in those moments where I'm like, no, like this is go time, we got to be out of here at 8 o'clock so we can get parking, so we can get up, get our stuff, get on the mountain. That becomes a good regimen, and I like it because it happens usually in February, and
Hmm.
that's a great way for me to also create a reset of like if I've screwed up my sleeping and waking schedule, that always sets me right back in shape. And y'all, that's like 3 days. So it's amazing what you can shift for yourself in just 3 days by creating a new habit, or going back to a good habit that you had that you might not have been, playing with. And speaking of habits, what are some other habits that you have in your life that you feel like have really helped you maybe be a more grounded person, or that help you round out your day and just your life in general? What makes your life easier? What habits make your life easier?
So this is, let's see, there's definitely a lot of habits I do. I'm just not always thinking about what I do. So now I'm gonna have to like sit back and figure out like what can I call a habit. Um, for sure, I as I mentioned earlier, I like start my day with a workout just because when I do that, I notice I'm way more efficient in everything I do. And then another another thing is, actually I taught myself this, where sometimes I'd be working really hard on something and then I'd somehow lose focus, or maybe I'm just not as effective or productive anymore. I would
Mm,
try to push through it, but I realized if I just go, instead of trying to like push through it, try to solve the problem by maybe getting up, drinking water, maybe going for a quick run, maybe doing a phone call, maybe just doing something else that clears my mind, and then coming back to it. Even though I did technically waste that time doing something else, I come back way more productive, and I finish it much faster.
mm,
So recognizing that, and then I would like set reminders. I A lot of the times, if I'm trying to start a new habit, I will like spam myself with 10 reminders in one day, where it gets really annoying because my phone is spammed every, like, for example, I wanted to do more push-ups, where I do like 10 to 30 push-ups every hour. So
wow.
within like an 8 hour frame, let's say it's like 240 push-ups. But I would have an alarm twice every hour so I can actually establish that habit. And so I'm very critical on myself when
Mm,
I know I need to do something, and then finding any way to do it right. In this
okay.
case, forcing myself to
Forcing
to
your
get up
spamming
through annoying
yourself.
reminders. Exactly.
I love that. I love that you're spamming yourself. I definitely set reminders. I use like Alexa. I ask her to give me reminders. I have a few on my phone and I schedule things for myself. I'm a calendar scheduler because if it's on my calendar, it's probably happening. So I love that. I love spam yourself. Don't spam others, but spam yourself. That's the
Yeah.
lesson for today, y'all.
Yeah, I know 100%. It's force yourself to be accountable. So I'll block out stuff on my calendar saying, "Oh, I have to do that here." And by blocking out time, I'm essentially like making it so I have to now because I literally like occupy time from where I could be doing something else, but instead like I'll feel guilty not doing whatever I put in that time slot.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what would you say has been what would you say has been the biggest criticism you've ever given yourself?
I always like to critique myself. One thing is sometimes, a big thing is like a lot of times I would overthink stuff when I don't have to. So,
Mm.
like overthinking an interaction I have with somebody or overthinking my performance on something. And
Mm.
it's not good to overthink that long because a lot of times you just can't do much. There's a fine line between acknowledging that you could have done something better and then working on improving it versus just overthinking it over and over and over again. Like that's not going to do anything. The other person is probably not thinking about it anymore. You're just
Mm.
wasting your time, stressing yourself, etc. So that was something that took me a while to be better at.
So good. Have you ever had your brain scanned, like a brain scan?
No, but I feel like I need to do that. Like,
It's
yeah.
so I have to I 10 again 10 recommend because it's super insightful to be able to see someone that's like a neuroscientist map your brain and then actually show you like where you're like they can always call it out, like they can call out if you're an overthinker, they can call
Hmm.
out if you think like a engineer, they can call out all these things about your brain, and I think it's just so fascinating. And to know that we can train our brain to actually be more efficient. We can train our brain to actually use the parts of the brain that we're not used to overusing, like the parts where we overanalyze things.
Hmm.
Because I know that that's a pretty normal thing. That's
Yeah.
very cool, though. Yeah. Again, 10-10 recommend. Neuroscience has all this stuff down, and to see our brains
I
and
took a
how it
note of
works.
it right now.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Tell me, what would you say is when it comes to, I think with running a business, especially running a profitable business, which you've been able to do, comes a learning curve sometimes with finances. Was finances something you are already good at before you got into business, or was it something that you had to learn, or is it something that you're still learning?
I would say naturally, I was good with money, understanding money and properly spending it, saving it, etc. So I had that discipline, even though
Mm.
let's say even if I had no idea what a P&L statement was or what cost of goods meant, etc. And so naturally the concept of margins, profit, losses all just made sense. And obviously I am not the chief financial officer of the company. I have somebody who runs that, but I still have to know a good amount of what's happening. And um for us, turning the company to a profit was really a 3-month operation because we were able to dive down to the nitty gritty and understand exactly how the money's working on the app and how do you make it so that we see a positive outcome from
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of our mistakes with finances weren't because we lacked understanding of finance. It was more of we made false assumptions about customers
Mm.
um, that caused those mistakes.
Got it. So false assumptions instead of looking at the data.
Exactly. And so
Mm.
it turns out that, data is king and assumptions mean nothing.
Mhm.
However, you could have educated assumptions and biases from experience. That's something that's very important. A lot of the good leaders all have that, but our mistake was we made some of these assumptions very early on before we could establish, right, these very strong biases just from being in the space.
Yeah.
And yeah, we made that mistake. So we should have gone the other way around. Data, then assumptions maybe, but for us, we learn to never start off anything with an assumption.
That's so good. That's so good. I think that by itself in life and business is a great place to start. Is never make an assumption,
Hmm. Hmm.
and how beautiful it is when we also just ask when we need something or want need to know something. That even though it
Hmm.
can be uncomfortable, sometimes those conversations are best had when we can just shoot straight. the extended version as well as the full. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Please note you can find everything you need to know about Amin, how to get in touch with him, and the work that he's doing in the world in the show notes. We have posted all kinds of great links, and you can also follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, catch those TikToks. Join us next week as we have another very special guest. You will be moved and inspired and walk away with some great golden nuggets. And I look forward to bringing those to you. So until next week, we'll see you then.